Good morning, YouTube, and welcome again to my channel. It's good to be here. Hope you're having a great Thursday morning. It's Thursday here in Alabama. It's just gotten a little bit chilly outside, which is kind of fun after the long, hot summer. Today I want to talk about persistence and the art of the nag, and this may turn into a series. My wife wants me to write a book called The Art of the Nag, or 101 Nags. And it's really it's something that over the years I've worked in sales and I've worked in a lot of different customer service. I'm now the CEO of a staffing company, a healthcare staffing company. But what I found is, and I'm a leader at my church, and what I found is that this persistence, these techniques of persistence, and just the skill of persistence is really. It applies to everything. So, I want to say if you see this and you start to think, oh, this is about sales, and I'm going to tune out and watch the next video, stick around. And I'm going to try to make this a quicker episode. But I just want to talk really quickly about how profoundly helpful it is to be persistent, and how many times I've won deals, I've gotten people to do things, that people thought would have been very difficult or impossible, just simply by being persistent and asking. And one of the things I think you have to learn about persistence is usually it's persistence. Being persistent and nagging people is really, it's a service that you're giving them. And you may feel like, well, you're just being selfish. I don't want to bother people. I think if you're trying to sell somebody something that they clearly definitely don't need, then yeah, it's not helpful, right? And it's annoying. But you're also in a weird place. You're in the wrong line of work, maybe, if you're being asked to sell things that people don't need. So that there are plenty of valuable, helpful things out there that you can sell. Find one of those things, right? Or find people that need the thing that you need. Anyway, so, and again, this isn't just about sales. But typically what I find is when you're asking someone for something, needing an answer to something, more often than not, you're asking a legitimate question that more likely than not is going to be helpful to them in some way as well. And so being persistent is really just about doing them a service. And so what I find is, like, my inbox is overflowing all the time. And so there are a lot of emails I get that I see and I go, yeah, I'm gonna have to respond to that at some point. I need to answer that question, but I don't have the time right now. And what inevitably happens is it gets buried in my inbox, and I forget about it. And I think this is really common for people. In this world that we live in, is that they're just overwhelmed with lots of stuff. And so what I do is something I learned. I did concert promotion as a side hustle for about 7 or 8 years, and put on about 100 concerts, and a couple of music festivals. And what I found that I picked up from these booking agents who are booking, just hundreds of concerts all the time, is they need to get things done. They need to get things confirmed and contracts signed. And I was really refreshed by these emails that they'd send after we had agreed to a deal. I get an email with like 5 words. It'd be like, hey, just following up on this. Hey, just checking back on this. Or checking in, ? Just something really, really simple. And it was shocking to me, but it was so effective. And I found that gosh, I'm always trying to find like these creative excuses to follow up with somebody, like, hey, I was thinking about you today because someone mentioned your name, or or make up some other excuse when really, like, you just need an answer to that question you asked, and you should just be direct. And so I stole that tactic and started applying it in business. And what I do is, like, if I've asked for something, I'm asking for a contract or asking for a decision, give them the appropriate amount of time that they've said that they need to consider it or whatever. Sometimes I'm just asking for a meeting. I'm just asking to talk to somebody. And I think it's totally appropriate if you send an email to within 24 hours, send a follow-up, and I usually do it every 48 hours. I'll send an email, and then 48 hours later, I'll say, hey, just checking back up on this. Do you have a minute to talk? Let me know. Just really simple. I'm not trying to make up a new excuse. And if they don't follow up in 48 hours, another email. Hey, just wanted to check back in on this. Is this not something that you're interested in? And then there's this whole concept of the breakup email, which is like, hey, I haven't heard back. I'll just assume that you're not interested, and I'll leave you alone, and unless I hear from you. Thanks. And what's interesting is I tracked this. I've created these like email series, and I've used tools on my own email to where I write the first email, and then it just sends those follow-ups automatically for me. And I tracked these over a year or so in one position I had. And my best email response rate was from my breakup email. That last email after 3 or 4 emails, that was the one that got the most hits. Was the one where I said, "Hey, I'm just going to leave you alone. Let me know if you ever need anything." And it'd be like, "Oh, Larson, sorry." And I also found when I went back and kind of audited it, I had virtually 0 people say, "Leave me alone." And the most common response was, "Thank you so much for following up. Thank you so much. I'm really sorry for not getting back to you. I've been meaning to get back to you. I just keep forgetting." So just an encouragement, be persistent, nag, be creative too. I mean, I've done things like, if I'm friends with a person on LinkedIn or on Facebook, and I've nagged them a bunch and they're not responding, I might like go on one of their posts and like hit like, or a picture and hit like or something, just as like a really simple, subtle, like, hey, I'm still here, So I think there's a lot of stuff like that you can do, but don't be shy about being persistent. It's a service. It's you doing your job well and making sure you're not leaving any stone unturned. And I can't tell you, I mean, if in any of the jobs I've ever had where I had some sort of sales kind of role or some sort of, putting deals together kind of role, if I hadn't been persistent and followed up after my first ask, I would say 95% of the deals and things that I've gotten done wouldn't have happened. So if anything, to take away from this, take that you just need to be polite and be persistent and nag people. That's a huge part of the job and the other thing I'd say, just to kind of add a little more color, is don't try to sell things. Don't try to pitch things, big complicated ideas or questions over email. That's a terrible way to do it. Now, some people really prefer email, but discover that. Let them tell you that. Like, hey, I'd rather talk about this over email. But what I've found is keep the email focused on a really brief summary of what it is you're wanting to talk about. Hey, I've got this idea for this thing that I'd like to do with you. It's basically about this, roughly. Do you have a few minutes to talk about this? Just keeping it super simple. You're not trying to close a deal over email. You're not trying to sell something over email. You're just trying to get the conversation started. You're just trying to open it up and get the person to say, sure, what do you got? And making it really clear. I just want to talk to you about this. Do you have a few minutes to chat? I think I know I don't have time. Can you tell me more over email? Sure, happy to tell you more. Here's kind of a little more of what I'm thinking, what I want to talk about. I'd love to discuss it further with you if you're interested. Let me know. But always trying to draw people into a phone call because generally all things being equal, people want to do business, want to work with people they like, people they know. And so you're really shooting yourself in the foot if you are trying to sell over to a stranger over email. You're saying, hey, I'm a stranger that you don't know or like yet, and I'm asking you to buy something from me or to do business with me or partner with me in some way. It's like, no, I don't know you. And so I'm always trying to push people to just a quick phone call. And then, the art of sales and business development is really about becoming friends quickly. And so when you get them on the phone, be respectful of their time. Hey, how much I've got like 15 minutes here. Is that good for you? Or do you need to run? Trying to find some way of gauging sort of what their bandwidth is at the moment. And hey, is this still a good time for you? I know we put this on the calendar, but are you okay? Just letting them know, like, hey, I don't want to sit here and talking while you're distracted and you've got something else you need to get to. And if this isn't a good time, let's just reschedule. But once you're on the phone with them, if you've got the time, spend a little bit of time just trying to become friends, like, hey, I saw that you lived in so-and-so. I used to have family there. Or how's the weather out there? I mean, just basic, like, clearing the air of like, there's like this tension of like, what's this guy going to try to sell me? What's going on here? And just trying to kind of suck some of that tension out of the room and just establish a, like, hey, I'm a normal guy. You're a normal guy. Like, let's be buddies. And, if you find out, look for things to find in common. They've got kids. Oh, I've got kids. How old are your kids? Like, your kid doing soccer? Mine's doing soccer right now. Just whatever. So anyway, those are some tips about kind of getting an audience with somebody, being persistent, and then once you've got someone, try to establish some sort of rapport, some sort of friendship before you start giving them an elaborate pitch. So anyway, there's my exhortation to you today is, be persistent. It's not, if all you've done is send one email or left one voicemail, you haven't tried. And to act like you've done your job, like, yeah, I tried, I asked, they said no. If you asked, the whole question in the email, then you're being lazy. You're not doing the diligence to get to know the person and give yourself the best chance of being heard and understood. And if all you've done is sent one email, you haven't really done anything. It's just not, that's not it. So, just an encouragement. If you're trying to get something done, if you need someone to help you, if you're looking for a favor or whatever it is, don't give up after you've sent one email or even two. Just be persistent. Hit them up a number of times, just making sure. Be polite, be respectful, but be persistent. So there you go. There's my word for the day. I know pretty different from other stuff, but I do plan to do a lot of talking on this channel about business and about a lot of stuff kind of in that world, professional world as well. So this is an initial foray into that stuff. So anyway, hope you have a great day. Thanks.